Brewers coming off that 4-2 road trip. They come home and take on the Phillies, who've bounced back after that tough start. It's going to be a great series. We'll get to it next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, good to have you along. Chuck Freimund, longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin, proud host of Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcasting network in the world. Locked On Brewers, the number one Brewers podcast on the internet. Coming up on the show, Quinn Priester. What is next for him? We'll get into that. The veterans, are they going to be pushed? Interesting. With the signing of some of these young guys to extensions, we'll see. We'll talk about that. But a big series coming up, the Phillies this weekend. But they're all big, aren't they? Phillies got off to a 9-19 start. They fired Rob Thompson, promoted Don Mattingly off the bench, and he has turned that thing around. 28-12, the Phillies are under Don Mattingly. And they've gone from just a terrible start, digging themselves into a hole. They're second right now in the wild card at 37-31. It's a good team, and trying to push the Atlanta Braves in the National League East. But the Phillies are putting things together, and they're doing it behind one of their pitchers, Christopher Sanchez, who is just having a Cy Young type season. We look at what Miz is doing. If there's anybody doing better than Miz in baseball, and how could there be? It's Christopher Sanchez in Philadelphia. He's been that much better on the numbers. But the Brewers go into this series 41-25. They have a 4-game lead on St. Louis. The Cardinals finally had their winning streak stopped. They had won 6 in a row. They got beat by the Mets 5-4. So they lose a half a game. They were within 3.5. They're 4 games out now. Pittsburgh 7.5 out. And stop the presses, everybody. The Cubs finally won a game. They're now gain a half a game on the Idle Brewers. 7.5 going out, going into this weekend series. The Cubs have a weekend series on the West Coast against San Francisco, where the Brewers just saw last week. And Cincinnati bringing up the rear in the division at 9.5 out. All right. The Phillies, of course, led by Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber's got 24 home runs to lead baseball. He's hitting 239. Kyle Schwarber doing Kyle Schwarber things, hitting the ball a long ways and not hitting for a very high average. But that's what they're paying Kyle Schwarber to do, is hit home runs. Bryce Harper, 15 home runs, 267. Trey Turner's they have some talent on that team. That's why they make it to the playoffs nearly every year. But the Phillies are one of these teams who I always feel like the Brewers are going to face in the postseason, but they never do. They haven't faced them in the postseason since 2008, but Phillies are going to be there, I think. They're a legit contender. And yeah, once again, it's a team the Brewers could see in the postseason. But they got some guys in that rotation who are doing well and some who are not. Now, the guy the Brewers are going to see on Sunday, Christopher Sanchez, I was saying about the year he's having. He's 8-2, a 1.54 earned run average. Just recently, he had that scoreless streak snapped. He had pitched 50 2/3 scoreless innings, longest ever for a left-handed pitcher. But he had that snap recently. But just amazing. He had 63 Ks during that. His last 7 starts, Christopher Sanchez has got a 0.51 earned run average. Just kind of sounds like the Miz a little bit, right? 53 innings, a 0.51 earned run average. Just impeccable. Again, his overall ERA is 1.54, but the Brewers won't face him until Sunday when Kyle Harrison. So you got 2 left-handers on the hill. The good news here, the Phillies have not been good against left-handers this year. That's one of their problems. They have not hit lefties very well. Saturday night, Aaron Nola against Drone for Milwaukee, Shane Drone. Nola, you know, his career has kind of been up and down. I mean, there's been some times when that guy has been had, and he was once the ace of the staff. He's 3-4, an ERA of 5.86. Nola, again, a guy who could be had. The Brewers have had him at AmFam Field. So that'll be a Saturday night game. But coming up tonight, Mizorowski on the hill, and we know how great the Miz has been against Andrew Painter for the Phillies. Mediocre at best, and probably at very best, because he's been terrible. A 1-7 record, a 6.71 earned run average. But this Phillies team, they can hit. They got some boppers on this team, and it's not going to be an easy series whatsoever for Milwaukee. They got to bounce back after losing those 2 games against the Athletics, and that's what the Brewers usually do. You know, they lost their last 2 home games against San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, or last week actually, and then on Friday night went into Colorado and won the first of 3 games against the Rockies and won 4 in a row before losing the last 2 here. But yeah, Milwaukee's got to get back on track this weekend, and why shouldn't they? A couple of other notes here. Adam McCalvey wrote a piece and asking Matt Arnold, said, "Hey, Matt, with the signings of some of these young guys, namely Pratt and Lara, does that mean veterans got to be looking over their shoulders?" And Arnold's answer was, no, I don't think so. Arnold was talking about the chemistry that they have on this team. And they've talked about that in the past, why they haven't made moves. Right? This is the reason why they say they haven't made moves. They're so afraid to not disrupt the chemistry of the team. But then what happens to the chemistry of that team in October? The chemistry is there. The wins just aren't there. That's the problem. So Arnold telling Adam McCalvey, I don't think that these veterans should be looking over their shoulder. And now Murphy was talking about that, hey, this is what competition is about. If you're going to play on a professional level, you better best be thinking about guys pushing you from behind, pushing you, trying to get your job. Right? He said that in so many words, and he's right. There's no job safe. As Harry Carey, the legendary broadcaster, once said, just because I can't do a Harry Carey impersonation, although I did one on ESPN Lacrosse the other day. I said, if the Brewers, Harry used to say, just because we're paying these guys a lot of money, do we got to keep playing them? Well, the Brewers aren't paying guys a heck of a lot of money right now. It's just them. But still, just because some of these guys are considered the stars, you got to keep playing them, right? What do you got invested in any of these guys? So, yeah, the chemistry is good. Things are going well, but the job is just not to win the regular season. The job is to have a championship level team. And if Pratt or Lara make you better, I'm all for it. Now, Lara, in a crowded outfield spot, where is he really going to go? Right? We got enough problems over there. Now, third base or shortstop, now you're talking with Pratt. Pratt could take one of those spots. I don't think they'd call up Lara this year. I don't think so, even though he's doing terrifically at Nashville. Pratt hitting around 252. I'd like to see those numbers a little up. But that could happen. I think that happens. I think they call up Pratt. The move, my guess, would be this. If the Brewers make a move, they would DFA Renifo and then call up Pratt. Maybe move Ortiz over to third base. See some more Hamilton at shortstop, that combination. Or move Pratt over to short. Pratt will play shortstop. Ortiz maybe over to third, Hamilton over at third, or could it be Hamilton at third, Pratt at short, and Ortiz becomes a defensive replacement and spares these guys every once in a while? Because Ortiz could play third or shortstop, as we saw a few years ago when Ortiz first got here, he played third base. But interesting that Matt Arnold did not think that the signing of these guys would push the veterans. I don't think so. No. And then Murph says, yeah, certainly. So that's what this is. Every veteran on every team should feel pushed, not in the, and Arnold, I mean, who am I to question Arnold? But Arnold says, well, yeah, giving these guys long-term contracts, they could just relax and play baseball. No. as a ball player, you should always be pushed and motivated. That's the problem when you sign some of these guys to guaranteed contracts. And I'm talking about everybody in baseball. You sign these guys to guaranteed contracts, and then you get what's going on in San Diego with their third baseman Machado over there hitting 161, and they're paying him $35 to $40 million a year. No, I do not believe in guaranteed contracts for sports. And baseball, it's the only sport that has a guaranteed contract. So you sign it so these guys can relax and play. Honestly, if you're making, and I'm not saying this, I'm not going to use Lara here, but I mean, he is making 31 guaranteed. But if you're making $60 million over 6 years, the Brewers signed somebody $60 million, 6 years. Now, you're not going to get anybody for that price, at least a guy who's going to be a legitimate star for you. But what incentive do you have to go out there and dive after balls or run up against the fence and do that? Right? I'm not saying all guys, but right? And I've seen some of these guys sign the major league contract in baseball and just put it on cruise control. Like Manny Machado, why would he have to run over a fence to catch a ball down the third base line and go flying into the net? He's already making $40 million a year. So he could hurt himself? No. Not at all. So I don't believe in this signing guys so they can just go out and play. No. Always should be incentive. Always should be incentive. Contract should be incentive laden. Give these guys some incentive. That Lara contract is incentive. Again, I'm not calling him out at all, or Pratt or anybody else, but contracts everywhere should be incentive laden. Heavily incentive laden. All right, we come back. Well, Priester, what is going on with Quinn Priester? Man, I do not like the news that's coming down. Murphy seems to have soft-sold it a little bit. We'll get to that coming up next. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. The Cash App is the way to go. Hey, the Cash App. What do I like about the Cash App? Well, you're able to send someone money instantly on that. It's one of those things that's become so normal, you forget how much easier it makes everyday life. But the Cash App does exactly that. And if you weren't up to speed already, Cash App is way more than just a safe way to send and receive money. With the Cash App card, you unlock a ton of perks as well, without all those hidden fees with the Cash App. Enjoy benefits like maybe exclusive early access to nationwide concert pre-sales, plus discounts on everyday purchases and popular brands you probably already are spending money on. Add your card to your digital wallet to make your money move easier. The Cash App also adds security to your money by declining suspicious card transactions to send you a notification to make sure that payment is really you. Haven't we all got that, right? But with the Cash App, they're going to make sure. If your card is ever lost or stolen, you can lock it up with just one tap right in the app. Spend with confidence with the Cash App card today. Get on this. The new Cash App customers, you can earn $10 if you use the code CashApp10 in your profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. What a great deal. But get in on this Cash App. The security, spending with confidence, the Cash App card. Take advantage of it today. Business owners out there, if you are looking to hire, maybe you have a job opening, maybe you have a couple of job openings. You don't know where to turn. You've had guys in for interviews, people in for interviews. You don't know which way to turn. Workplace chaos can show up fast, and this is where Indeed sponsored jobs come in. Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based on skills, experience, and location. They'll find the right person who can make all the difference in the world, whether it's building a business or building a winning team. They can help you fill that desk that's sitting right over there. You've been sifting through all these candidates. Here's who's going to help you out. Indeed sponsored jobs. They can help you make additions to your staff so you can get your company back up rolling again without question. Lots of successful organizations avoid the wasting time and they get in on this deal right here. Listeners of this show, hey, you get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing the candidates who check off all the boxes. Less stress, less time, and more results. So go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about it on the podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed. Sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs will put you in the right direction. I'll point you in the right direction for Locked On Brewers. Again, you get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast. We're the number one Brewers podcast on the internet because of you great Brewer fans out there. Also, you find us up on YouTube. Search on YouTube, Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. It is a Friday, heading into this big weekend series with the Phils. One bit of news, a couple of bits, but one bit of news in particular, Quinn Priester. Quinn Priester, he has been paused in his rehab stint. Remember, he was down in Nashville. Things weren't going down very well in Nashville for him. So he went to the Arizona League. He's, according to the reports, he's throwing pain-free. He's got the thoracic outlet syndrome. And, it's that wrist thing that's been going on since last year. Now, according to Murph says right now, he doesn't feel any pain, does not feel like he's a candidate for surgery just yet, but somehow they're shutting him down to bring him back to discuss the options. Now, there's been reports that 90% of athletes who have this TOS, they end up having the surgery, which means removing like a rib. Nobody wants to have that kind of surgery, so I get it. So Priester's doing all he can do, but the results aren't there. But the good news, again, he's, according to the Brewers front office here, he does not feel pain, although he doesn't have any feeling in his fingers. Now, that's never good. But they've brought him back to Milwaukee. They have shut them down. His ERA in his rehab starts here have been over 15. I don't know. I don't want to guess whether or not he needs surgery or not. Who knows? But I know is when they're shutting a guy down and he's putting up numbers like that, this might be one of those seasons. It might be a lost year for him where he's just not going to be on this roster. And that's a shame because the team was great under him last year, right? He was 13-3. The team had won 19 games. Every time Priester, if you were betting on Priester yesterday, you were going to the cash window 19 straight times and cashing in with that guy because the Brewers won 19 in a row with him. But things just not getting any better for Priester. And I was talking about the rotation yesterday in yesterday's podcast. They really could use him, but it's just not happening. It may be a case where the Brewers may have to go out and get themselves a starter. Said a few weeks ago, I didn't think that was the case, but with these injuries that are going down, they may have to get themselves some insurance. But they're not going after a top name guy. They'll go after one of those secondary guys. I don't think they'll touch Ryan up in Minnesota. I just don't think so. I don't think Byron Buxton's coming here either. They're outfielder. Don't think that's happening. As far as Woodruff is concerned, Woodruff sounds like he's getting close. There's rumblings he could start one of those games next week. I'll believe it when I actually see him take the mound. All right. We've been put through this for a couple of years now. He's going good, and all of a sudden he has a setback, going good, having a setback. Man, the Brewers could use, if Woodruff, can you imagine how this rotation would be with Woodruff at the top of the rotation, Miz and Kyle Harrison? You got those three guys at the top. Well, Miz would technically be your ace, but you got those two, Harrison and Woodruff, those three locking things down. That would be fantastic in this rotation. I know some of you are saying we could have that if we go out and get Skubal. I think the Brewers need to concentrate on their offense in this area. They need to concentrate offensively on this. So that's the way they're looking there. Brewers coming up here in a couple of a big weekend series. You know, you see the Cubs coming up here in a couple of weeks. Cincinnati is rolling in town in a few weeks. Brewers have not seen the Reds yet. You notice that the Brewers have not seen the Reds yet. They got them for a 4-game set coming up here in June. But I'm telling you, I think this is a big series for the Phillies and the Brewers. Big turning point series here in June. Going to be some good crowds out there, and I'm looking forward to it. So a couple of final thoughts on this series and the Milwaukee Brewers when we come back out of this timeout. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. With Kalshi, hey, baseball season is here, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. On Kalshi, every single game is available. The Korean League is on there for the overnight plays, too, as well. Those start like at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, but you get it all with Kalshi. For instance, Texas and Boston happening. Boston is a 54% probability. You take Boston there, your payout is $179 if you have a $100 trade. How about that? Boston, 54% probability. The payout $179 if you trade 100 in on that deal. On Kalshi, it's you trading against peers in a live market. There's no house on this deal. And as the probability changes, you could buy in and out of your position all day long. It's awesome. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use the promo code Locked On. You'll get $10 when you trade 10. So you'll get your $10 and you trade 10. You'll get that $10. Kalshi, Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 and over only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. But man, I love this way of trading. It's a new way of doing business. And Kalshi, you can trade on every single game, and there's a ton of sports on there. Check it out. Kalshi. Check it out today, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Hims, another great sponsor here of Locked On Brewers. ED is way more common than most people think. Way more common. Millions of men deal with it at some point. Hims offers a simple, convenient way to take care of your health by connecting you with a licensed healthcare provider online, giving you access to personalized treatment options from the comfort of your home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just straightforward processes that are designed to make things easier for you and get the care you deserve. So take care of yourself. You shouldn't feel complicated. And Hims makes the process private, easy to navigate. It's healthcare built around your schedule and your comfort. When something feels uncomfortable to talk about, the last thing you want to do is a complicated process, right? But having the ability to start online from your home makes taking that first step much more manageable in this. So get a simple online access, personalized, affordable care for ED, health, hair loss, weight loss. Visit hims.com/lockedon, hims.com/lockedon for your free online visit. hims.com/lockedon. Prescription required. See the website for details and important safety information, and they will take care of you right there. All right, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet. Find me on Twitter, Chuck Freimund, Freimund. The Everydayer Club. Here's how you get a part of the Everydayer Club. You take the notes section below. You see the notes section. It's on all the audio podcasts and on YouTube. You get the commercial-free audio podcast. You get into our Discord. You got to be a member of the Everydayer Club. We talk one-on-one with you in the Discord. Anything you want to talk about regarding Brewers baseball, we're there for you. Other amenities as well, but check the link below on all the notes sections, both on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. Brewers at 41-25 going into this. I get messages all the time about, Chuck, are the Brewers going to sustain this? You said they couldn't get the 97 wins again. Yeah, that's a high ask, getting the 97 wins. But is this sustainable for the rest of the regular season? I think so. I do think, though, the Brewers have to fix that left side of the infield. They may not have had an issue last year. Durbin was terrific over at the third base spot. I mean, he did a nice job. He wasn't an all-star, but certainly he wasn't a rookie of the year voting. Ortiz, not so much at shortstop. The Brewers have two gaping holes over there, shortstop and third base. I think if this team is going to make any kind of run, they have to fix those two positions. It is imperative that they fix those two positions. They cannot go far at all in the postseason. Yeah, they might win the division, and that's going to be tough too. These teams aren't going away. Brewers aren't going to win this division in a landslide. I know I make fun of the Cubs, and the Reds are in last place. I don't make fun of the Reds, but they're in last place. I do think the Cardinals, I don't know if they'll stay there, but I think they could make a run at the wild card. But the Brewers have to get better. And I'm not saying you go out there and sign yourself a high-priced, give away some of your high-priced farm talent for what's on the market right now, but you got to improve that left side. If it means calling a Pratt or whatever, you cannot beat the Dodgers with two holes on the left side of your infield. It's just not possible. And Matt Arnold can talk about all he wants about the great chemistry, and he doesn't want to touch anything there, and veterans shouldn't have to be worried about that. That is baloney. Because where has that gotten us in the last few years? Sitting out and watching other teams play in the postseason. Now, the Brewers did beat the Cubs last year, but a short 4-game sweep by the Dodgers, I don't want that to happen again. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Monday night. Actually, Sunday night with the next edition of Locked On Brewers. Please subscribe. Have yourself a great weekend. And, of course, on our YouTube page, you will get instant reactions on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday's game. I'll be here all weekend giving you my 60 to 90-second updates on those games, the instant reaction after the game, the rapid reaction, but you need to be a member of our YouTube page to receive those. So please subscribe. All the content is free. My name is Chuck Freimund. Thanks for being an everydayer, and thanks for tuning in to Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.